Have our first upcoming meet this weekend. We're heading up to Washington to compete, and we're kind of chomping at the bit for this because outside of our cross country coaches, Ben and Helen, they're the only ones that have been through a season yet. So us other coaches are really excited about the opportunity to get up there and actually see what happens when the lights come on. And of course, we're taking a large contingent, 2 busloads up to Washington to compete to see if all this hard work that they've been doing since the fall is where we're at. And so it'll be good stuff to see where we have to go from here.
Robert, is there anything you hope to get out of this weekend other than just shaking out some rust and not getting anybody hurt?
Yeah, to see the newcomers. As you well know, we have lots of newcomers on our team, and so to see them get in their first competition and compete, and then of course we can better formalize where our weaknesses are, and then come up with a game plan to strengthen them by the time when we get to March.
Some new coaches in addition to some new athletes as well. What's the kind of game plan been? What's your read been on your assistants as you're getting into the season?
The new coaches, they've already had their debut in their work there in cross country, and we're over the moon with what they've been able to do. And so it's just a continuation for them moving into the indoor season.
What has the cross country team done to transition from the cross country season to
Actually,
this?
they go back and reload a little bit, go back and run some more miles. You know, you start to taper a little bit there when you get into the championship season there into October and November. And so now it's basically re-upping again because they have to start all over again with indoor track.
And what kind of team building exercises or stuff?
Yeah, so we brought the team back a little bit early before school started. So we were here a few days before school started because of this competition coming up so quickly. So just there, getting the group together, all being in the same thing, a few dinners there with the overall team, just spending some time together.
Has training for the indoor season been changed this year because of Hayward Field being gone, or do you guys usually train in here?
Well, yes and no. It has changed a little bit. As you well know, we've been using Lane as well as Hamlin Middle School. And so those have been changes as well. And so now we're dealing with more of those things because the weather continues to get worse for some us ballistic events and power events who like to stay in the warm and the dry. So a large contingent of us have moved in here. The biggest change basically has been the throwers. We see them in the mow a lot more, throwing the implements here. So that's been probably the biggest change for us as far as not having the use of Hayward Field.
When you say some of you sometimes use Lane, you sometimes use Hamlin, are those two different groups going to those two different places at the same time?
Yeah, depending on what you want to get done or where you want to go, just to change up the venue. Some can go to Hamlin, or we all can go to Hamlin, or some can go to Lane, or we all can go to Lane. There's no real specific need to go to one or the other. It's just basically whatever the coach wants to get done that day.
How has the loss of Hayward affected recruiting?
Makes it a little difficult because sometimes even me, so I shouldn't say only the recruits, but me as well, but maybe me less because I kind of know what's coming. I've been a little bit more intimately involved with the details. But when we take them over there and see the site, you see dirt. And it's kind of hard to have imagination when you're looking at a circle of dirt versus looking at it in a book. And of course, that is a little different feel there. So those are the things that come to mind right away.
But you can sell them on the fact that once that thing is finished,
Hey,
it's not going to affect many
I'm
other college
assuming
stadiums.
they say that when it started 22 months, and I haven't did the math to find out how many more months we have to go, but April 20 of next year will be a joyous occasion.
You know, looking ahead, just the indoor season as a whole, you guys have kind of owned the women's 800 the last 4 years. You know, is there somebody next in line that can fill that role? Does Susan have the capability?
Depends on where we put Susan. Of course, there's a Susan, there's Ruby Stauber as well. So it's just a matter of how they're doing, where they're at in the development, and what direction we decide to go.
Well, Ruby showed pretty good potential when she was a freshman elsewhere. You know, what are you seeing from her in this last year and a half that she's been with you?
It's just one of those things to where she's continuing to learn and get better. And as we move forward, like I said, we'll put her in the best position to be successful. So we'll yet to be determined.
What about as far as the men's milers go? They were kind of the stars of the show at certain points last indoor season. Do you see the same potential with the group that you have now?
Yeah, those guys are really, really talented, and they're someone that we're going to look forward to when we try to mount the charge to contend or get a trophy.
Obviously, Jessica Hull just got put on the Bowerman Watch list. What have some of your conversations been like with her recently?
I haven't really had any conversations with her. It's just one of those things to where she did such a phenomenal job this year and at the end of last year that it's kind of one of those things that are almost expected. And it's probably a little too early to tell because there's a whole host of names there, and hopefully we can get more of our kids on that watch list.
You've spoken about her being kind of a contributing voice to your team, especially before in the middle of the cross-country season. How has she kind of continued to be that leader going into the
A good question. I don't know. I'm assuming it's going to be the same things as she's done in the past, but she went away. Jessica's from Australia, so it's summertime there. And when I seen her for the first time a couple of days ago, she's talking about it's a 60-degree difference between there and here. But she's enjoying being back here because some of those runs were a little grueling when you're in 100+ degree weather there. So she was excited to be back. Her tan looks just as good as mine at this point in time of the year. So as far as what she's continued to do, I would assume that it's the same things that she's been doing before.
Freshmen and new transfers, is there anyone that has stood out to you to this point where you look at them and go, okay, that's someone who can make an impact for us day one?
Yes and no. And then the ultimate test will be this weekend to see how it all pans out. When the lights come on.
Who's the yes?
We'll see when the lights come on. Absolutely.
Getting to one of those freshmen, Braxton might be here, might not be here, but
He'll be here.
that hurdler group looks really strong for the men, at least potential-wise. Talk about Eric and Braxton and Joseph and what you think you can get out of that particular group.
Yeah, they've been training really well. Coach Taylor's done a good job in teaching the ways of the force, or the Taylorisms that we like to talk about. And so they have a good group there. And you left out one guy there, John Harvey, is another one there that's a long hurdler that's coming down to run the short hurdles here indoor season. So and one of the groups that have a lot of talent there. And so just like I've said a couple of times here, we'll see what happens when the lights come on and see if they can perform then. But as far as practice is going, they've done well.
Got any long-term goals for your team?
We tweeted out a tweet there for New Year's. New Year, same resolution. Doesn't change. Yep. I thought that was fantastic.